Okay, so continuing with our final review, number 13. In the diagram below, angle 1 and angle 2 are a linear pair. So remember that linear pair means adds to 180 degrees. So if the measure of angle 1 is 5x minus 2, and the measure of angle 2 is 3x or 13x plus 2, we want to find the measure of angle 1. Okay, so I'm going to highlight that because sometimes a lot of you solve for x and then you think you're done. Unfortunately, you are not, okay? So over here on the left-hand side, I said a linear pair means that they add up to 180. So I'm going to take what they told me angle 1 is and angle 2, and I'm going to add them together and set it equal to 180. So 5x minus 2 plus 13x plus 2, and then equals 180. I'm going to combine my like terms. So my like terms would be the 5x and 13x. So remember, combine means to do as shows, meaning if there's a plus sign, do a plus. Don't do the opposite because we're not crossing the equal sign yet. So those two are same terms, and then these two are same terms. So 5x plus 13x is 18x, and then negative 2 plus 2 is 0. So I'm going to write it just for now, but you don't have to. Okay, so again, if it's plus 0, I can just write 18x equals 180. Then I don't want to know what 18x is, I want to know what x is, so I've got to do the opposite. So between 18 and x right now is multiplication, so I do the opposite, and I'm going to divide by 18, divide by 18. So these cancel out. So my x is equal to 10. But again, I have to find the measure of angle 1. So measure of angle 1 equals 5x minus 2. So I'm replacing the x with the 10 I just found. So 5 times 10 minus 2. I plug that directly into my calculator. 5 times 10 minus 2, enter, and I get 48. Okay. All right, number 14. Find the measure of angle 4 in the diagram below if the measure of angle 2 equals 8 times x plus 7 and the measure of angle 4 equals 2 times 5x plus 18. So they are referring to angle 2 and angle 4. So they are vertical angles. They're diagonal from each other. Okay, so we'll write diagonal. So that means they're equal to each other. So I'm going to take what each one is, and I'm going to set them equal to each other. So, and then I'm also going to highlight, I want to find the measure of angle 4. So again, we're going to solve for x, but then we have to plug in. So 8 times x plus 7 equals 2 times 5x plus 18. I have to distribute, and don't forget you're distributing to both things inside the parentheses. A lot of you are still only doing it to the 1. So 8 times x is 8x. 8 times 7 is a positive 56. Bring down my equal sign. 2 times 5x is 10x. And 2 times 18 is a positive 36. I want to get all of my x's to the left side and all my numbers to the right side. So that means that I'm going to subtract 10x from both sides. So my 10x's over here on the right cancel out. And then I have negative 2x plus 56 equals 36. Now I want to get all my non-x's over here to the right. So I do the opposite of a positive 56 and I subtract 56. So negative 2x equals negative 20. And then my last step is to divide by negative 2, divide by negative 2. So my x is equal to positive 10. But again, they asked for the measure of angle 4, which is equal to 2 times 5x plus 18. So I've got to plug in the 10. So 2 times 5 times 10 plus 18, close my parentheses. So I can put this whole thing into my calculator. So I'm going to do 2 parentheses, 5 parentheses, 10, close my parentheses, and then plus 18, and I hit enter, and I get 136. So again, if you use your parentheses correctly, you are going to get the right answer on the calculator. But if you don't use the parentheses exactly how I wrote them, you'll get a different answer. All right, number 15. In the diagram below, L is the transversal of the parallel lines M and N. Find the measure of angle 5. So I'm going to highlight that. If angle 3 is 4 times 2x minus 2, and angle 5 is 5 times 4x plus 4. Okay, so I started off in one corner and I started circling, okay? And then the ones that weren't circled, I made as squares, okay? So they are talking about angle 3, and so angle 3, which is here, and then they're talking about angle 5, which is down here. So over on the left, I said consecutive angles, which means next to each other, have to add to 180. So one is a circle and one is a square. So together, they have to equal 180. Because again, one's a circle, one's a square. So that means that I'm going to take what each one equals and I'm going to add them together. So 4 times 2x minus 2 plus 5 times 4x plus 4. And now they're equal to 180 because they're next to each other on this picture. I need to distribute the 4 to both numbers, and then I need to distribute the 5 to both numbers. So 4 times 2x is 8x. 4 times negative 2 is negative 8. 5 times 4x is plus 20x. And 5 times 4 is plus 20. Bring down my equal 180. Again, I'm going to combine my like terms. So 8x plus 20x, and then negative 8 plus 20. So 8x plus 20x, I have 28x. Negative 8 plus 20, I have a positive 12. Bring down my 180. I got to solve for x, so I'm going to do my opposite operations. So minus 12 minus 12. So 28x equals 168. And then the last step, divide by 28. Divide by 28. And my x is equal to 6. Remember, they asked you to find the measure of angle 5, which was 5 times 4x plus 4. So I'm going to plug in that 6. So 5 parentheses 4 parentheses 6 plus 4, close my parentheses. So I'm going to plug that into my calculator. 5 parentheses 4 parentheses 6, close your parentheses, and then plus 4. And I get a final answer of 140. All right, number 16. What is the measure of angle B? So this is the exterior angle rule, okay? So when you have this exterior angle, which is over here, this 25 degrees, this is my exterior angle. That means that these two together with it, so these two together, we're going to add, and they have to equal to 125. So that means that x plus 76 equals 125. I do my opposite operations, so I'm going to subtract 76 from both sides. These cancel. So my x is equal to 49. So angle B equals 49 degrees. All right, 17, what is the value of x? So over here I wrote all angles of a triangle have to add to 180. So all three of these together have to equal 180. So that means that I'm going to add all three together. So 4x plus 10 plus 7x minus 17 plus the 22 degrees, and I'm going to set it equal to 180. I'm going to combine any like terms. So 4x plus 7x, I get 11x. And then 10 minus 17 is a minus 7 plus 22 equals 180. I still have these two like terms. So 11x, and then negative 7 plus 22 is a positive, a positive 15 equals 180. And now I'm going to do opposite operation. So I'm going to subtract 15 from both sides. So 11x equals 165, and my last step is divide by 11, divide by 11. So my x is equal to 15. All right, number 18, what is the measure of angle A? Okay, so these little marks right here are telling me that my sides are the same, okay? So if sides are same, so bottom two angles are the same. So that means that I'm going to mark them like this, because now that means that this is also 77 degrees. Okay, so they're looking for the measure of angle A, so they want to know this one over here. Well, all three of them have to add to 180, and I know two of them, so I'm just going to do 180 minus 77 minus 77. So I subtract those, so I'm going to get my calculator, 180 minus 77 minus 77, and I get 26 degrees. So angle A equals 26 degrees. Number 19. Find the values of x and y if the quadrilateral ABCD is a parallelogram. So they're telling you that it's a parallelogram. So when they tell you that it's a parallelogram, that means that my top and like my angles that are across from each other or diagonal to each other are going to be like equal to each other. So if these are equal to each other, that means that I can set them equal to each other and solve, okay? So I can find x and y by doing 2 times 3x plus 12 equals 9x minus 3. And then I'm also going to notice that these two are across from each other. So that means that they are equal to one another. So that means I can do 7y minus 3 equals 2 times 7y minus 54. So I have to solve both of these because they want to know x and y. They want to know both. So first I'm going to distribute. So 2 times 3x is 6x. 2 times 12 is positive 24. My equal sign, 9x minus 3. I want to get all my x's to one side, all of my non-x's to the other. So I'm going to subtract 9x from both sides first. So these cancel. So then I have negative 3x plus 24 equals negative 3. Now I want to get all of my non-x's to the right side, so I do the opposite and I subtract 24. So negative 3x equals negative 27. My last step is to divide by negative 3. So my x is equal to 9. So that's half my answer. My other part is solving for y. So again, I have to distribute the 2 to both terms. So I have 7y minus 3. 2 times 7y is 14y. And 2 times 54 is 108. Same as the steps on the left, I want to get all of my y's to the left-hand side. So I'm going to subtract 14y from both sides. So 7y minus 14y is negative 7y. Bring down minus 3, bring down my equal sign, bring down my negative 108. Now I've got to get all my non-y's to the right, so I do the opposite and add 3. So my 3's cancel. I have negative 7y equals negative 105. My last step is to divide by negative 7. So negative 105 divided by negative 7, my y is equal to a positive 15. All right, number 20. This is where we get to the trig stuff. Find the sine of angle B. Angle B. So that's this one down here. So remember sine. So sine is equal to opposite over the hypotenuse. Your hypotenuse is always across from the right angle. Okay, and then from angle B, opposite would be away from it, across from it. So that's my 14. So that's my opposite. So that means that this is equal to 14 over 50. I'm going to do the division, 14 divided by 50, because your answers will be in decimal form on the test. And it gives me 0.28. 0.28. All right, 21. Find the tangent of angle B. So again, I'm working on angle B down here. Tangent means that I want opposite TOA over adjacent. That's why I put that stuff over here on the right-hand side. TOA, opposite over adjacent. So that means that my opposite of B, so I look across. So across is my opposite. So that's my 6. And then my adjacent is directly next to it, not the hypotenuse, which is the 10. Okay, so remember, the hypotenuse is always across from the right angle. So I could label that one my hypotenuse, so then I know not to use it because they're asking for tangent. So the 8 is what goes on the bottom. I'm going to do 6 divided by 8 on the calculator. 6 divided by 8. I get 0.75. 0.75. Final answer. So again, if they're just asking for sine or tangent, you're just using that acronym, SOHCAHTOA. And then you just divide the two numbers. You don't use any of the sign buttons or anything on the calculator. Okay, number 22. I'm going to solve for the missing angle. So I don't know this angle down here. Okay, so I'm going to label what they give me. They give me the opposite to my angle, and then they give me the hypotenuse because it's across from the right angle. So opposite and hypotenuse is the sine because it's so, O and H. So sine of the angle I don't know, and we'll just label it X, is equal to my opposite over my hypotenuse. So the sine of the angle I don't know is equal to 22 over 30. If I want to find the angle, I have to use the second button on the calculator. So second, and then my trig function, which is sine. So it's going to look like this when you plug it into the calculator. Sine of -1 and then 22 over 30. So that's what it's going to look like on the calculator. So on calc. So I go to the calculator. I'm going to clear this out. I press the second button. So now it's highlighted in red. I'm going to press sine because I needed sine. And I do 22 divided by 30. Close my parentheses, hit enter. 47.166. So 47.166. This is bigger, so it's bigger than 4. Okay, so 5 or bigger. So that means that I've got to round that up. So 47.17. Final answer. All right, 23. Only 2 more. So they tell you a 12-foot ladder is placed against a wall. The ladder is on level ground at an angle of 70.5 to the horizontal. About how far up the wall will the top of the ladder be? So like this is my wall over here. Okay, and then that's my ladder. They told you that it's a 12-foot ladder, so I'm going to put 12 over here. The wall is over here on your left-hand side, okay? This is the angle they're giving you. So the wall is what I'm looking for. I said how far up the wall. So the wall is my unknown, okay? So the 2 measurements that they gave me my opposite, and they gave me my hypotenuse. So this is the opposite, this is the hypotenuse. So if they gave me opposite and hypotenuse, that's how I know that I'm going to use sine. Okay, so O and H. So that means the sine of the angle I know, 70.5, is equal to my opposite over my hypotenuse. So sine of 70.5 equals x over 12. In order to figure it out, like on my calculator, and solve for x, on my calculator, I'm going to do that side length I know, so 12, then sine of 70.5. So just in my calculator. So 12 sine 70.5. Close my parentheses, hit enter. 11.311. So 11.311. This is 4 or less, so that means that I'm going to leave that one alone. 11.31. Final answer. All right, last one. A tower is 86 meters high, so they told me that, so that's 86. At a bench, an observer notices the angle of elevation to the top of the tower is 40 degrees, so my 40 degrees is right there. How far is the observer from the base of the building? Okay, so like right here is your base of the building. And then over here on the very corner would be your observer. So that means what I'm looking for, how far, would be this bottom here. So that's where my x goes. Okay. So they gave us, from my angle, that's the opposite. And then they also gave me the next two, so they gave me the adjacent. So if I have opposite and adjacent, that tells me I have to use tan because of TOA. So the tan of my angle is equal to opposite over adjacent. So the tan of the 40 degrees they told me is equal to my opposite, which is 86, over my adjacent, which is x. In order to figure out what x is equal to, on my calculator, I'm going to do the side length I know, which is 86, divided by tan of my angle, which is 40. So this is in my calculator. So I go to the calculator, I do 86 divided by tangent of my angle, which is 40. Hit enter, 102.490. 102.490. That 0 is 4 or less, so that means I leave it alone. 102.49. Final answer.